All right, guys, we're live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Mark Luckenball, local client Playbook, here with the one and only Miggity Matt Stack, and we have Colin Theriot on today. Welcome, man. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if anyone is living under a rock, um, get out from under the rock and, experience Colin. He made the Cult of Copy group. I recommend the group a lot. It's copywriting group. It teaches you how to influence people with your words, textual influence, and I'm a big fan of it. And if you want to convert customers and build a cult or a tribe or any type of engaged community, you should be a fan of it as well.
Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah, absolutely, man. I recommend your group a lot when we were talking about different stuff in my free course, and it's good just being inside your group. I learn, and everyone can. You can learn so much just from hearing, top dogs chat about copywriting and critique other people's copy, and it's awesome. So I guess you guys wanted to start. Like, how'd you get into this, man? I used to see you on the Warrior Forum a long time ago.
Yeah, I was on there for a little while when I first went freelance. What it was is, like, I went to art school, so I had no business being in business at all. All those dudes don't know how to make money in any way whatsoever. But through that, I got into doing graphic design for websites because I was just an internet nerd in my free time.
Cool.
And then it ended up, like, I worked on, basically, I guess you would call it like an admin type role on some e-commerce websites throughout my early career.
Okay.
Just doing, new graphics, being in control of the product inventory, stuff like that, right? So at one point, I was like managing a staff of 4 on like a computer manufacturer part reseller type of deal. They're out of business now, but they used to be called Monarch Computer
Okay.
Systems, and they used to make like servers and like gaming rigs, but also sell parts like Newegg, similar to that, if you're familiar.
Okay.
Um, so I worked there for a long time, and then I left that job to go work doing something similar for a local wedding favor company. And they had just expanded their brand to include like baby gifts, because the problem with wedding favors is there's no repeat business, right?
Right.
Like, you sell somebody a bunch of stuff and they're done.
Right.
Wedding's over. They're not coming back and buying more wedding favors. So they added in a whole baby gifts thing, and they had a bunch of web pages, and they needed managing. So I ended up working there. And while I was working there, the owner's husband and his business partner launched a marketing education thing called StomperNet. And this is, I don't know how long you guys been in the business, but this would have been around like 2007, 2008, around there.
No. Okay.
And what that was, it was like higher end marketing education stuff for people who owned e-commerce sites. So it wasn't like your $7 ebook on the Warrior Forum or whatever. It was people who have, like a $2 million business selling like dog supplies on a Yahoo store who need help with SEO and marketing and stuff.
Mhm.
And my boss and his business partner were like sort of gurus in that field. They had done like an audio course on SEO for e-commerce. In addition to the baby and wedding stuff, they were selling like swords and bar stools, all kind of crazy stuff, right? Because I just happened to be working at that company at that time when that StomperNet thing blew up. They made like $24 million on the launch, because it was
Wow.
like $800 a month, or you could pay 10 grand for the whole year.
Mhm.
And it just blew up. Like, a bunch of people promoted it, and it was crazy. I just happened to be working there at the time. Like,
Mhm.
I helped make the HTML on the launch page because I stay up real late, and they popped on the work chat and were like, "Is anybody around that can help us with this?" I'm like, "Sure, it's 3 in the morning, whatever. I'm not doing anything." So as that company grew, I sort of got poached and went over there. And then I can't remember to this day, like, I was just doing whatever they needed, because it was like 5 of us working there, and they'd accidentally just made like 24 million bucks. So we were like trying to hire up and actually build a company big enough to support all the customers that they got.
Mhm.
So I'm like running Cat5 cable to do networking and stuff. By the way, I'm a casual cuss word user, so hopefully nobody minds if an S word or an F-word drops in randomly. I try and keep it clean on other people's shows, but just in case, fair warning.
We're pretty informal, man. We're
Okay, just
cool.
make it. I know it bothers some people. It doesn't bother me, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna go and have a big debate with you
yeah,
about
I'm pretty sure I said shit like 15 times already, but okay. So I'm working at this company, and they had a copy staff writer, but she was more like from the content world, doing blogging and things, and they needed the sales letter to be rewritten for the new offer, which like added a bunch of faculty and a bunch of new stuff, and like we were reopening basically. Like they had the launch, and this was like we're going to open again and bring new members in now that we're sort of settling in. So I just basically volunteered. I can't remember if she was like sick or just too swamped with the member stuff, but basically they just needed another writer. So I'm like, sure, whatever, I'll do that. I don't care. And my boss at the time was Andy Jenkins, who went on to do Video Boss,
Oh, okay.
who was also my first freelance client. I wrote the copy for Video Boss with him. He was my boss there, and he's like, this is pretty good, this rewrite. You like doing that? And I'm like, sure, man, it's easy, whatever. You know, like I never considered myself a writer, but I can do it. I was like, yeah, sure, it's easy. He's like, okay, cool, you're the chief marketing copywriter now, so get good at it because this is your job. We need this many emails. We're launching this in a week, and get going, do it. So at this point, I didn't even know that was a job that you could have, being like a copywriter.
Right.
I presume that like somebody that worked at the company wrote the ads, but I didn't know that was like a specialized field where you could pay a bunch of money to hire somebody to do that. Like Mad Men wasn't a TV show yet.
Right.
Like people didn't, like unless you were in the advertising world, you just like I never bothered to think about, oh, well, that's probably a specialist who makes a lot of money to do that. So I learned on the job, and because of the nature of that company, they had a bunch of like faculty on staff that were there to teach the members, who were all like really successful marketers of their own products. So every time I wrote a draft, a bunch of millionaires are critiquing it on like, this is how you need to do it to sell this stuff. So being that I had like no ego about it, I'm just like, okay, sure, I'll do it the way you tell me to. Right. And eventually that company, even though it did really well, they had some internal problems, and the owners got like a business divorce, I guess you would call it. Went their separate ways. I stayed on a little while after that, but then I left and went freelance. Like I said, my old boss, Andy, was my first freelance client. And then basically, like I said, all those faculty members hired me a little bit. They recommended me to their customers and clients, so I picked up work that way. And I did that for a couple of years. And then my group that you mentioned, the Cult of Copy, started out as just being like an informal Skype group with clients and colleagues, and just, when you do this kind of stuff for a living, you're just sitting on your computer all day.
Yeah.
If you don't have any work, you just end up being bored and chatting with people. I do it on Facebook now, but at the time I was doing it on Skype.
Right.
And we had that chat group for a while. It was in that group that I remember distinctly. I was on vacation at a resort in Mexico, drinking a margarita indoors at the bar because it was raining, even though it was a beach resort. So I was annoyed. And I can't remember what made me think of it, but in that group I was like, dudes, I think I'm going to start a cult. And that was the idea for the Cult of Copy. And I shifted it over to Facebook because I was wasting a lot of time on Facebook instead of working. And I figured, like, there's an appeal here. So if I can build something on Facebook where people already are avoiding doing work, that's better than trying to create like a separate web property with a URL that they have to remember to go visit.
Right.
Instead, it's like I can be their excuse for putting off work for 5 more minutes if I give them something interesting to read on Facebook. So I put the group on there and then just started building it up using all the sneaky, copywriting and psychological tricks that I know to build it up. And then eventually I just retired from writing copy for other people altogether, and I just run that group. That's my sole business. And inside there I sell training on the stuff that I used to do as a freelancer. So I have like a sales letter template, email templates, like webinar promotional templates, just tons of templates for different pieces of marketing material you might need. And since I'm not interested in getting you to hire me to do it, I just do the do-it-yourself way. I make a template and say, fill in all these chunks that you need. That's going to be good enough to start sending traffic to. And if that succeeds, then maybe you can hire a professional copywriter if you need one. Or if you're a professional copywriter and you just want templates so that you don't have to recreate the wheel with every new client, you just want something that you can sort of fill in the blanks and give them a basic idea, they work for that too. That's how I use them.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool, especially for a lot of the people in our group where we might understand the importance of it, but to really, and this is something I found out is when I joined your group and just listened to a lot of the top dogs and you and just all the dudes you have in there, they're just massive. And they talked about it. You start to understand there's a lot to it. To be able to learn it and do it on a level like you guys do it, it's not something where you can watch a course and just do it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I think a lot of business owners might be familiar with, I think it's Michael Gerber's E-Myth, which
Yeah,
is the idea that just because you know how to do a thing doesn't mean you can run a successful business doing that thing, because
right,
running a business is its own thing you have to learn, right? Like if you're a chef, that doesn't mean you can just open a restaurant and it'll be successful, because running a restaurant is its own full-time job separate from cooking delicious food.
right,
So copywriting is like that, where like you need it as part of your business, but it is complex enough if you want it to be where that can be your whole business, is writing other people's copy.
right.
But really, it's almost counterintuitive, and I don't think a lot of copywriters would necessarily tell business owners this, but the part that's hard is being able to do the same effect in so many different markets from so many different kinds of clients. That's the part that's hard. If you're just focusing on your copy for your business, most of the hard parts of learning to write copy aren't relevant, because you don't need to learn how to imitate a bunch of people in a bunch of different situations. You just need to learn yours.
Right.
So like, if you only want to be in charge of the copy for one business, it's like 1/100th of the amount of time you would normally have to spend if you were a freelancer trying to write things for all kinds of people.
It makes
Um,
sense.
but within that, I don't know what it is about like society or the way they teach people, but there's this idea that being a pushy salesperson is like distasteful in some way. So people naturally kind of want to avoid that. And then there's this idea that writing is like a high form of art that has to be like very fancy and it's very difficult. And both of those, you can throw those right out the window when it comes to sales copy. Um,
Right.
because all you have to do is ask people to buy the thing that you told them was good, right? Like you think it's good, you wouldn't carry it or sell it if you didn't think it was good. So tell them in your own voice, just the way that you would speak, write it down that way. Doesn't have to be Shakespeare. You don't have to be clever at all. Just like be direct and be straightforward. And if you put it in front of the right person, it's a pretty simple yes or no decision that they have to make, right? So you don't have like the thing with being a copywriter is that the writer part, unless you're going to be like a top-notch, highly competitive freelancer going after like big mailing houses that they're going to put your letter as the scientific control and mail 2.5 million copies of it to see if it works. You don't really need to think about it like this art form that you have to study a bunch. Really, you're going to learn more and faster just communicating directly with your audience and seeing what works with them. And then that will naturally attract more people like you already have. So then you just end up building a business around a bunch of people who like what you do anyway. And that's better. Having done the freelance thing for clients and having done the cult leader thing for myself, I much rather the latter, because I don't have to change and pretend to have different attitudes or values than I actually have in order to sell things to people. I can just be myself. And when you do like internet clientele, you generate your leads via the internet, you have a wider reach, and really you only need to worry about the people that like you for you, right? Like you don't have to worry about, oh, is Am I sending this ad to the wrong kind of person? Generally, if you're like paying for internet traffic for your leads, it's pretty targeted. So you don't have to
Right.
worry about that. You can just basically say what you want to say, aim it at the right person, and it should work, more or less, right?
That's that's pretty wild just to see how, like I definitely am. I'm guilty of overcomplicating it, I guess. But
I mean, I just look at it as like a mechanical checklist, right? So if you want to sell something to somebody, the basics that you need are you have to describe the product, you have to tell them how much it costs, and you have to tell them how to actually pay you to buy it, right? So at its simplest, that's what you have to do. Then there are just a bunch of things you can do to sweeten the offer that really have nothing to do with being special or creative, like can you throw a bonus in there? So with the thing they're buying, they're getting another valuable thing for free. If you can do that, boom, conversion's boosted. It's not rocket science, it's not art. That just makes it a better deal. Can you take your product and compare it to something that's normally what people would buy and make yours look cheaper, like a better deal? If you can do that, boom, that'll boost conversion too, because if they're shopping around, they see the other one, yours does the same thing, but it's cheaper. Pretty easy. It doesn't have to be like fancy. It's just very straightforward. Then you have like a guarantee. A lot of people, like, you basically have to offer a guarantee because the person's credit card company is giving them one anyway. You may
right.
as well claim it. You may as well say, I'm the one offering to give you your money back. It's not just that I'm legally obligated to for X amount of time. It's just me being generous. And then that way you get credit for it and it's explicit. And again, like you don't like there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between the best written guarantee and the dumbest written guarantee if they both make it clear, if you don't like this, I will just give you your money back. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
you don't have to be Shakespeare to explain that to somebody and for it to have the effect, which is just, okay, now I'm not worried about losing my money, you know? Um, so really, I look at copy that way. Like, I'm not trying to make the best sales letter ever written. I just want to effectively communicate what you have to the ideal client and then start knocking down the reasons they might give themselves not to buy it. Like, it sounds kind of expensive. Okay, but it's not, though, compared to this other thing. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to lose my money or not. Well, you're not. There's a guarantee. Well, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it is trying to think of the things that they're going to try and say to say, not right now. And then you give them a reason to say right now. Well, if I walk out of here today, I'm going to have to raise the price. So you got to decide fast, right? It's just, I don't know. Like, most copywriters wouldn't tell you it's not that hard, but I'm telling you, it's not. It's not that hard.
Well, yeah, just listening to you the last couple minutes, simplify it.
Yeah. Wow.
Like that's awesome shit. I mean, to you, this is what you do. It might not seem like, oh, well, I'm just talking about what I do, but just hearing you simplify it like that, I mean, that's a gold nugget. I hope
Well, I
everyone
mean,
took some notes on
like
that.
everybody knows that, like what a conversion rate is, right? Like I
Right.
sent this message, this many people bought. That's my percentage. That's my conversion rate. You know, how many people bought relative to how many people didn't. So when people are super scared of copy, I don't know why, because it's just the same thing. You're like, well, if you send it and nobody buys, you actually have like information you can use to figure out why.
Yeah.
But if you never send the stupid message or never post the sales letter, you just never know. You have no idea if it'll work or not. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
you can pay you can pay a very high end copywriter like 40 grand to write you a sales letter that you're going to mail to a million customers. You still don't know if it's going to work until you mail it.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, so with that in mind, like I don't know, a lot of people seem scared of it. Like, oh, I'm not a writer. That's okay. You don't have to be a writer to write sales material. Oh, well, I don't know salesmanship. Well, you do have to know that, but it's not magic. It's not wizardry. You just put you just put the offer on paper as plainly as you can, and then give people reasons to. In fact, I'll break it down even simpler. I wrote something up about this a while before. If you want to sell something, all you need to do is answer 4 questions. 4 basic questions. Why me? Why you? Why this? And why now? Why me? They want to know why you're talking to them. Why are you bothering them? Of all the people in the world, You got in their face with this message. Why? If it's a sales letter, presumably it's because you have some reason to believe they bought something similar to that in the past, or if it's online, they went searching for it. You know, you have this problem, that's why I'm talking to you. Why you? They want to know why they should listen to you. Why are you an authority on this matter? You're not just some stranger walking in off the street. You have some kind of qualification, some kind of experience that makes what you're saying something they should believe, right? Why this? That's when you describe the product, but the twist is you also, when you describe your product, want to make it sound like a unique solution that it's different than any other thing that they could buy that might solve the problem the same way, right? That's why I recommend people try and infuse their personality and the reason they created this product into the offer, because it's a cheap way to make that unique, right? Like, it's not just, you know, how to get local leads, it's Mark's way to get local leads, right? And what that does is it gives people a reason to not choose yours versus someone else's. They'll get them both because they feel like they're both different and valuable, right? So like when someone's shopping for copywriting templates, I hope there's no reason someone would like look at them all and only pick one, right? Like, I would think they would want one from all the different kinds of copywriters just to see all the different things that are out there. So that's what you want to answer with why this, and then the last one is why now, which is where you make up the sneaky sales tricks to put the pressure on them to not walk away without making a decision. So you put a timer on it. You tell them that there's limited spots. You tell them if they pass on it, you're going to take that offer to their next competitor. You know, if you want to be devious, I've done that before, where it's like, well, I did all this research, and if you don't want this copy that you originally hired me to write, I'm not just going to write off all this research I did. I'm going to go find someone who sells this stuff so I can write them a sales letter with it.
Right.
But that's it. You answer those 4 questions, and you've given someone a reason why you're bugging them, so they're not mad that you're doing that. You've given them a reason to trust you and listen to you, so they don't think that you're just wasting their time with some kind of fraudulent bullshit. You've told them why this product is good and unique and they can't get it anywhere else from you, but from you. And then you've told them why they need to get it right now, which gives you the reason for having bugged them right this minute versus waiting till later, right? So at the very least, if you answer those 4 questions, a person who says no isn't going to be mad that you threw an advertisement in their face, because you gave them a bunch of reasons why they could, you know, reasonably be interested in that offer. So especially if you have repeat customers where you're trying to sell them different products to your list, that's a good way to operate, because it makes it so it doesn't feel like you're just throwing commercials in their face over and over. It makes it feel like, this is something I think you genuinely need. Here's why I think so, and here's why you should believe me when I tell you that. Here's how to get it. But act fast, because the offer is going to go away, right? Super simple. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really good shit, and that can be extrapolated to, you know, off of copy just into a face-to-face sale, on the phone sales, you know, because that's interesting you said that. 'Cause when I do on the phone closing, I close a lot of my clients via phone. You know, they hit my advertisement, they get a discovery session. Once they're qualified, they get closed on the phone. And that's really cool, because if people wrote down exactly what you said, just a step-by-step of, you know, what you're telling them, walking them through the sales process, I mean, they can extrapolate that to anything. They can put it on their website.
You can take those 4 questions and you'll notice them in everything, in commercials and sales letters and even phone scripts. Like, the first thing someone says when they call you on a telemarketing script is exactly why they're calling you, right? I'm calling you today because that's why me. And then you go on and explain what the deal is you have for them. That's why you. We're the #1 seller of steaks that we mail to you, you know, frozen, or, you know, whatever the case is. That those guys call me a lot.
I want someone to sell me steaks right now.
Exactly. I never get the good sales calls, man.
Yeah. No, I get steaks, and also my business has been approved for like a $200,000 line of credit or something.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and if that was true, I don't think a recording would call me to tell me, because you don't even know who answered the phone.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's really solid, man. I appreciate you sharing that, like breaking it down for us like that, because that's perfect. You know, just like you said, that reflects in any type of sale you're ever gonna experience.
Yeah, and I mean, once you have something basic, like I said, it's all testing to find the best result with whatever piece that you're putting out there. If you're going to use it again and again, tweak it a little, try some different things, try a different headline, just mix it up a little and try and get it working as good as possible. And then the second step is just looking for holes where it's like, okay, well, I have 3 products that people can buy. How about when you buy it, I put you on a list and the list tells you about the other 2 products you didn't buy yet. That's picking up free sales for nothing, and it's just an email, and you stick it in Aweber or whatever autoresponder is. That's free sales forever as long as people keep buying that first product. Then you go to the other 2 products and do the same thing. Then all of a sudden you have 6 sales messages in your funnel pushing all of your products forever, and all you have to do is just drive traffic to the first one, right? So then it's just continuing to do, okay, well, now you have 1 autoresponder. How many more can you stick in there? I know a guy who he does info products for like little one-off solution type things, like how to fix your golf swing or home remedies for tennis elbow, like really narrowly focused things. Buys paid traffic, and then he puts them on a list for a free report, and he's got like 2 years worth of daily emails on that list.
Wow.
And just hit them and hit them and hit them and hit them until they buy it. And I'm like, how long does it go? He's like, if I get 1 person to buy on email 623, it was worth it for me to write that email. It took me like 5 minutes, So
Holy shit, that's a vicious funnel right there.
yeah, and I mean, it's not the kind of thing we're used to seeing in marketing where it just keeps bugging you. It's just like, here's a cool article that I found related to this topic I know you like. By the way, here's a link for that deal I told you about. It's nothing obnoxious. It's just he doesn't mess around. Once he has that contact, he's like, all I want it for, like, why would I collect your email address with the purpose of selling you something and then not email you every day to sell you something? It's like, that's what I wanted it for.
Well, the logic's there. It really is.
And then in a different business, like he doesn't really he doesn't build huge funnels around these products. It's like just the front end product and that's it. So if you had a business where you wanted to collect a customer and really like respect their inbox but keep selling them things over and over, maybe you wouldn't do it every day. Maybe you would take a different approach. But you have nothing to measure if you're not trying to do anything. So first you need to figure out what it is that you want. If you're collecting people's email addresses to sell them a specific product, do it. Like, email them about that product, right? However many emails you need to, and send them once a week. If that works, try sending them twice a week. If that works, you know what I mean? Like, you might lose some subscribers, but if those people weren't buying anyway, you just look at your numbers and figure it out.
Right.
Almost everyone I've ever talked to who's actually tried it, has said they make way more money if they email every day. I've never met a person that said, I email my list every day, and they quit buying as much as they did when I only emailed them once a week. Like, no one's ever told me that in the, 7 or 8 years I've been doing this.
That makes sense. So, dude, you dropped some just vicious knowledge bombs there. If anyone wants to, maybe you don't realize it as much because this is like what you do. But if people just take what you said, bullet point it, they can build their own copy. And if you guys really don't want to go that far, dude, just go buy his templates. I mean, they're super reasonably priced. I mean, you have ones for emails, landing pages, webbies. I mean, you have just tons of templates people can grab. So,
and the Cult of Copy had so many people trying to get hired and hire copywriters that I broke that off into a separate group. So if you're a member of the Cult of Copy, I have a separate jobs group where if you're like, this looks great, I like what's going on in this room, I would like to hire someone from here, I have a separate group where people can do that. Well, it used to be just for the Cult of Copy, and then someone told me ClickBank put it as a free resource in their guide that they send out to affiliates. So I'm like, well, I guess there's a bunch of people here now who have no idea who I am, even though it's meant to be a private group. But yeah, so like if you get into there and you just want to learn enough about it to hire someone to do the kind of things you see us talking about in the group, that's possible too, even if you don't want to do it yourself.
That's awesome. And I remember you posting about that. You take that real serious. Like if someone complains or something like that, you take that super serious. That's a highly moderated situation, right? Like,
Yeah, well, what it is like I don't want to get involved in the details of any disagreement where like this guy says he paid the money and didn't get what he wants, and the other guy says I gave him what he asked for, he's just not happy. Like I don't want to get involved in that, so I keep it real simple. If you offer your services in there and you have a client that's not happy, give them their money back, and then that's it. If it gets to the point where like the money isn't just being returned, I have to figure out who to kick out, and I will kick somebody out.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where like the whole reason I want it is so I can like brainlessly just say join this group, post your job, someone's going to help you.
Yeah.
If there's a predator in there doing that, I look like the jerk for pointing people there. So I can't have that. Like I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing it because like, oh, I got to be the good guy. It's like because it makes me look bad. Yeah. Like I want to be able to like because I don't want to write the copy. You can't hire me anymore. I don't do that. So when someone asks, I want to be able to point them somewhere where they can get help. But I don't want to look like a jerk for doing it. Yeah. But if they like it, I want the credit. So that's why I got to keep it clean over there. And I've kicked people out who who are being bullies to the writers too. It's happened both ways where it's like, this guy paid me this money and he didn't pay me the second half and he's running the copy that I wrote him. That's happened before. As long as somebody brings it up to me, I'll use whatever leverage it is I have to make it right, which is if you're using the copy, pay for it.
Right.
If you hate the copy and don't want to pay for it, the writer should give you your money back. Other than that, like that's it. If it doesn't work on whichever side, somebody's getting kicked out.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Super safe resource then. I definitely recommend people jump on that. So just one other thing I wanted to touch on, and this is something we talked about before we ever, even went live here is, I studied your, a lot of your stuff, and it made me a better salesperson, and just the fact that I went and like how I built my group, a lot of the ideals were taken from how you teach to do it. So I want to talk a little bit about that because people can extrapolate that outside of what we do, where you teach people how to do copy, we teach people how to do local marketing and SEO and shit. People can take that and say, hey, we can make a group or a community, tribe, call it whatever have you, of business owners that we want to sell SEO to, or people we want to sell X-ray machines to. It doesn't matter. You can extrapolate that across any industry.
Yeah, if it's the kind of thing where your customer would go online and either search for it or like go on social media and post to ask their friends and acquaintances a question about something you sell, then it's worth making a group about and trying to get them in that group in some kind of way. So if you sell marketing services, like you mentioned SEO, I would position your group as, here is an active community of our staff and our clients, and if you need help right away or just have a general question and want some advice, this is a good place to go and get it from the people that we work with. And that way it's people who are sort of aligned with our philosophy and what we're already doing for your business, so that you're not wandering the wilds of the internet finding contradictory information, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's a good reason to do that. And what happens is they're in the group, you're interacting with them, it just keeps you in the front of their mind. It lets you keep reminding them that you're an expert and you know what you're talking about. It lets you drop content in there. And like I mentioned that thing where like I'm not doing anything, but I wanted the credit for it because I created the group where the connection was made.
Right.
If you share good content that you found elsewhere on the internet in your group, you get the credit mentally for that from them because they're like, he's sharing that with me strictly for altruistic reasons. I mean, you're not, but it feels like that because it's like, it's not like you get paid if people read that, right? Like you're just sharing it for their benefit.
Right.
But the reason you're sharing it is because in your own little pocket universe that you're the ruler of, You get to decide what's in there or not, so you control that flow of information. So you can do sneaky things like I do, where I'll post a bunch of stuff, whether it comes from me originally or comes from somewhere else, that discuss a particular problem, right? So like, here's a problem with all the video scripting products out there. Someone else might even post it just griping. And then I'll sort of feed that and get people like, here's what's missing, here's what's missing, here's what I don't like, here's what other people aren't doing. And then I just make a little checklist, and then I'm like, hey, how about I do a live training on that? We'll just do a webinar, and you pay me and show up live, and I'll teach you all about that. And then I sell the recording after I sell it live. I get paid to create the product before it even exists. I show up, I make the product, and then I can sell the recording later and say, look, this was a live training that we did for members of this group. Obviously, it's already done, and you can't attend live, but if you want to buy the recording, you know, just pick it up here, and you just link to the PayPal and send them the download when they buy it. Doing that setup, like, you'd be amazed how few members it takes to get that going. And in the internet marketing circles, it's funny because people are like, oh, that doesn't sound like it'll work. I mean, like, if you get 10 people in the group, one of them is going to buy a paid training about whatever it is that you normally sell to them. Right. And if you get one person to buy it to pay you to show up, that's more than anyone normally gets paid to create info products, right? Like, most people don't do it in a way where you get paid up front. Usually you go and record your video course or whatever, then try to get customers.
Yeah.
But when you have this group, you can do it the other way, where you're like, pay me to come to this live training, and I'll show you how to do it. And if you plan it right, what happens is you can do a whole series of trainings and then do a paid membership site where you drip them out every month because they all fit together. And that's sort of what I've done, where I have a paid group inside of my free group, because not everybody in my free group needs the tools that I sell. But now if you do, you can join my paid group, and I'll drip them out to you one per month for cheaper than if you just bought them all outright. So now I've created a continuity product, like a paid recurring membership, out of stuff that I created as one-off trainings over the previous years. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of opportunity to build up back-end sales very easily, selling information to your existing customers no matter what it is that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. And we're actually experimenting with that, with an actual, you know, instead of, like, you know, selling to other marketers, we want to get groups of dentists and bring them into a paid monthly thing of how they can, you know, do different things to increase their business and stuff. And it's like, you know, people be surprised. Everyone wants to be a part of something.
Oh, yeah. Like Joe Polish, I think it is a famous copywriter. And I don't know the exact story of how it got into it, but he owned, like, carpet cleaning services. So he used all of his copywriting knowledge to really blow up his carpet cleaning service business. And now, like, he has, like, conferences just of people who own carpet cleaning businesses, who, you know, like, he licenses and shows them his marketing materials, and you can buy them and use them. But it's like you said, it's a captive audience of one type of business that, instead of being broad and saying every business can use these tools, he specialized them and dove deep. And by doing that, he's got a lot less competition because he's the only guy talking to those people. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought because I got echo all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too.
How weird.
That's messed up. Must be the hangout.
Yeah. Okay, now it's gone.
Oh, it was
cool.
Matt's fault. That's fine. Sorry, he got real sneaky and turned it off. He was like, I hope my second announce it was my fault.
Well, maybe he apologized, but we can't hear him because he turned it off now. So where was I? Yeah, Joe Polish, he has this, like, little pocket audience about carpet cleaners, and he's like the only guy. He's like the guru of that particular little niche, and he has the credibility because he owned the carpet cleaner. But you don't have to be in that business to go after it. You just need a couple of clients specifically in that niche for you to say, look, I've used this for these other people who are just like you, therefore you should give it a try. You know, if you look at my testimonials and you feel like you compare with those people, this should work for you too.
Right.
So with the dentist, like you get a number of dentists under your belt who have bought your stuff, get a few testimonials from them, then that's all you need. It doesn't matter that you're not a dentist because
Right.
you're the dentist. You're 3 out of 5 dentists go to you for their SEO help. Is how it works.
Yeah, that's right. They use that's a really good one. 3 out of 5 dentists recommend this.
Yeah.
It's just a coincidence that, you know, of the 5 I asked, all of them were my happy clients.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on. You dropped just a ton of nuggets, man. I hope everyone took some notes on that. I mean, just how to get your sales game up, how to write some copy. You know, I recommend everyone go join the Call to Copy group. I know I said that. Been saying that since day one. It's been a huge learning experience for me, just being in the group, rubbing arms with all those copywriters. And,
Yeah. I mean, my goal there, like I said, when I created the group, it was created for me to be a member of.
Right.
And I deliberately grew it in that way where the people I wanted to come and post in there were people who I was learning from, not people who were making stuff that I wanted to sell to my audience, even though that is also true. The main thing was like, okay, well, this guy posted this awesome thing. I want him to come post that in my group. And then when he posted in my group, I'm like, that's awesome. I love it. And then all of the people who follow me are like, oh, well, Colin commented on this. I should read it. I also think it is awesome. I love it too. And then the next time that person thinks of something cool to post, they post it in my group because everybody likes it.
Yeah.
So the group slowly grew over time, and it's only stuff that I want. Like, I use my own taste to determine whether it's good enough to be in the group. Like, if I think, okay, well, if I was reading this, I would think this group is crap, I delete it, and I tell the person, don't post that anymore.
Right.
But if it's good, I want it in the group because I want, like I said, the whole point of the group is to keep people paying attention to the information faucet that I'm in control of, right? And if I turn that into a fire hose, no one is going to come to the Call to Copy and be like, I'm going to read all of this, and then I'm going to go to like 5 other websites about copywriting and read that too. You know what I mean? Like, if you have the fire hose and it's fresh all day, every day, you filled their slot for like, this is how much copywriting I want to read about today.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's the same thing like any group you would start. If you make it so that your resource is it's on social media, so it's fresh, right? It's interactive. And if it's authoritative, then why would your customer who is aware of your group just go put it in Google or go ask their friends when they know they have this resource that they can ask a question and get a fresh answer with no research, just literally the exact answer to their question. So if you can create an asset like that, you create an audience that keeps coming back, sharing information with each other. They stay warm. Everybody talks about a list, an email list. Oh, my email list is going to go cold if I don't email them every day. That's true. A Facebook group never goes cold if you build it right, because people are in there all day talking to each other. So you don't have to warm them up to make them an offer. They're hot all day already. You just pop in and say, hey, I just had a wild idea. Let me do a training. A bunch of people will say yes, and you get paid. Works good.
Awesome stuff, man. Yeah, that's really solid. I appreciate you coming on and just going wild, man. Lots of really good shit. I appreciate it, dude.
Well, thank you. I obviously like to talk, so hopefully this isn't too long for your members.
No. It's fine. One last question. How much of your success do you credit straight to that beard?
It's funny because like the beard became a branding thing on accident.
Yeah,
but
I remember
so many people like just started commenting on it and stuff, and I don't care.
Right.
So I kept it, and it became like a thing. And then now like a bunch of other marketers have beards, and like I don't think I was the first, but I definitely started a trend where a bunch of people in my circle specifically sort of started doing it. And I think it worked for me specifically because like I kind of have this attitude of like bucking the trend and not caring about appearances over substance. So it just kind of fit with the personality I already put out there, that like obviously I am not a clean-cut corporate type person, right? You can tell just by looking at me that if that's what you want, go somewhere else, because that's not what I got. But really what happened was I went to speak on a cruise in October and forgot to bring a razor. So I went like a week and a half without shaving, and then the next month was November, which is that no shave November movement for, I think it's prostate cancer or something.
Yeah.
So I participated in that year because I already had the beard. I just left it on. And then my birthday's in December, and my wife got me like a beard comb and like accessories to groom it. So I'm like, well, she likes it.
That's awesome.
And then in that time, like, the audience reacts to it and sends me beard memes and makes jokes about it. So, I mean, if it's a positive thing that are going to get my audience talking about me, why not,
Hell yeah, man, became part of your branding. That's wicked.
Yeah, and then it's built up to the point where, like, if I ever decide to shave it off, that will be like a massive attention event.
Yeah.
That I could get a lot of people to pay attention to if I built it up right?
Absolutely.
And it's just facial hair. It's dumb, but that just goes to show that you shouldn't be scared of marketing your business and just communicating with your audience, because you never know what's going to stick. It can be the dumbest thing. Like, I talk about Legos because I have young kids, and I liked Legos when I was a kid, and it's one of those things where my kid's not old enough to play with them, but I looked at them at the toy store, and they're too cool, so I bought a bunch for me to play with. And I talk about it, and it's weird how many people are just like sending me Lego stuff out of the blue just because I brought it up. It doesn't have anything to do with business, but it gives an extra component to our relationship that transcends business.
Right.
So now, like, we're on a friendship level because we have a connection that has nothing to do with our work relationship. And that's basically how you define your friends. You have all these connections with them that don't have anything to do with anything other than your mutual experience and likes, right? So that's why it's great to build up your own little audience like this, because you can grow a beard. People might like that. I got, the books you read that other people have also read. People like that. Doesn't matter what your field is. Like, even in your dentist group, like, the dentist in there can be like, I read this business book and I liked it. That'll create a bond between them, even though it has nothing to do with dentistry.
Right.
It's all about building up that community vibe. And I did it with a beard, so it's definitely not as hard as someone might be thinking.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice too, to build a bond, based on activities like you said, transcend the business you're all there to do.
I think a lot of business owners that actually do have a personality that's integrated with their business, like they're the face, they interact with the clients. They think, oh, well, I'm not going to do social media. What do I share? Who will care what restaurant I'm eating at? Like, I have people who, when they roll through my town, will get in touch with me and want me to take them to a place where I posted what food I ate one time because they thought it looked good, and they're like, I want to go to that place you were talking about that time. Like, you just never know
right.
what someone's going to be interested in. So don't think like, oh, no one's going to want to care about that. Like, it's just, you're making little distractions, little tiny distractions for people to entertain themselves with throughout the day, because that's how people consume social media. You're waiting in line at the grocery store, you're just checking your Facebook on your phone, right? So give them something interesting, and you'll be at the front of their mind whenever the next time is that they think of something that you sell.
That makes complete sense, man. That's awesome. So, I mean, just to sum everything up, you dropped some awesome knowledge bombs. I appreciate it. Everyone, go join the Call to Copy if you already didn't. It's a huge Facebook group, but well over 13,000 members at this point, almost 14, I think. Go check out the templates. Colin's a monster copywriter. Definitely listen to what he says. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today, dude.
My pleasure. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you when you try to end the show and talk to
No.
me.
I was I was. This was actually the first time I wanted to try to end it. Believe it or not, I wanted to talk about building the group and stuff there, because you did an awesome job with it. I tried to emulate it a bit with local client takeover. A bunch of your ideals I tried to carry over, and no, I definitely we had no intention of cutting you short. We talked about that before. We're like, dude, if he starts on a tangent, we're letting him go.
Well, good, good.
I like listening to what you say, man. I'm pretty sure everyone will too. There was some really solid shit in there. Increase sales, get better at copy, a good group to hire copywriters and learn more about it. You have templates if people don't give a shit and want to learn anything, they can buy those.
Right.
Building the bonds with their target audience, making the tribe, and then it's cool. You know, I wanted to make a little joke about the beard, and that turned into something
Right.
something really cool too. Just something that you know, you can connect with your audience over that isn't directly related to what you're selling them or what you're. I mean, it was rock solid, dude. I'm really happy you came on and chatted with us, man.
Well, super. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Take care.